Chef and the Good Foodie. I'm the Good Foodie.
And I'm Sassy Chef.
Tonight we have a special guest, Amanda Pelham. Hey, Amanda.
Hello, how are y'all?
Great. We're glad you're here.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I feel very honored to be on your podcast.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Amanda Pelham. I am the vendor manager at the Caverns in Pelham, Tennessee. I have been in this position for 3 years now. It's definitely been a learning experience. I love it. I do it part-time. Sometimes it's full-time, but it's always on the weekends, as y'all well know how we all work. It has been a learning experience for sure. I think the biggest challenge was the beginning. Whenever I started, was previously a wedding planner. I don't know if y'all know that about me, but I have planned a lot of weddings. So doing event coordination is something that I've done and been a part of. So whenever they needed somebody at the Caverns to do the vendor coordination side, my sister who worked there was like, oh, well, my sister used to be a wedding planner. You know, it can't be that different. It's extremely different, by the way. It is in no way the same thing. But I basically got the job. So the rest is, you both have seen a lot of the rest of the journey, but learning as I go, learning with you guys as I go, and every day is a new adventure.
It's been a learning experience for us too, because our first time we ever did a really big event was at the Caverns, and that's really helped us learn how to do big events. And you know, that first year, I just remember that first K-Fest, all the food trucks, we all ran out of food. Nobody was prepared for that. Y'all weren't prepared for it. We weren't prepared for it. And yeah, so I was glad it was everybody's first time.
Oh yes, for sure. That was very eye-opening. We learned a lot fast.
So did we.
That weekend.
So did we.
Whether we wanted to or not.
We learned how to see what ingredients we could find at the grocery store and make up new menu items really fast.
I would have never known how to survive the Caverns if it wasn't working for you, helping you so many times before
I
I
probably
did
wouldn't have survived without your help. So.
Oh yeah, well y'all definitely helped me survive keeping my job, so thank you very much for that.
Well, that's one of my favorite places to go.
It's fun because we meet so many different amazing people. It's like
And I'm a music person, so I really enjoy the festivals at the amphitheater where I get to hear the music and all. So it was fun that first year when the food truck would be down in the cave.
Oh yes.
You know? I know my fans still crushed, but yeah.
I am so glad that we don't do that anymore, but I am so glad that it was y'all. Because y'all are way better drivers than I could ever imagine doing.
Our husbands are. Yeah,
well,
we are.
that same thing. I mean, it took you like 3 hours to load that truck down in the cave. Like, I would just have to walk away and be like, okay, I don't know how they're surviving. I can't do this anymore. I'm stressed to the max, and I'm not even driving the truck.
that's what I was telling you the other day. If I had to do that by myself, I would be like, I can't do this. I'm leaving because I'm terrified to do that without Jeremy.
Well, I am too. Like Josh is doing. He's working. He drives a bus for field trips and things, school bus. And he's working Friday, and I'm like, well, I hope I don't have to be at the Caverns too early because I'm not going by myself. What's the question there, Tammy? How do you handle all the chaos? I mean, because there's a lot of chaos. I know food truck people are. I mean, everybody's not the easiest to work with. We are. None of us are all the time, I'm sure. But you know, when you've got, sometimes there's as many as 15 food trucks there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most I ever had was.
And,
yeah, the most food trucks I ever had was 25.
wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Or at least I know that I can fit 25 in there. Now, whether or not they all came is a different story.
I don't think you were there because
Probably.
we counted the food trucks with
Yeah.
there was everybody was lined up and.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, the part about the chaos, I thrive in chaos. Every job I've ever had, I'm a project manager, like my 9 to 5. So if there isn't some sort of chaos, I usually fail. Like I need for stuff to be flying up in the air and me trying to figure out how to catch it, to know that I'm actually doing what needs to be done. Joe, who is the general manager at the Caverns, he'll come up to me when everything looks, chaotic, and he's like, I don't see how you just or how you have all this stuff lined up and know what's going on. I'm like, oh no, I'm not panicking at all. This is great. So I like it. It helps me know that stuff is going on, and we're moving forward to the end goal of starting to serve food.
Well, how do you go about deciding how many food trucks you're going to have? Because you've got food trucks in 3 or 4 different places. They're not all just like, okay, here's where the food trucks are. You've got them scattered out everywhere depending on the kind of event.
Yeah, so that's hard to answer, but I will tell you what I have learned so far. We'll talk about a festival because, as y'all both know, the festival is where I would have the most food trucks. Mm-hmm. So we have them set up in the campground, in the amphitheater, and in the cave food court. So depending on, there's so many different things I have to look at. Ticket sales, the demographic of people, what kind of beer they drink, because the type of beer that they drink tells me how much food they're going to eat. If it's a higher beer drinking crowd, then it's going to be a higher eating crowd. If it's leans more on a younger EDM demographic, they don't eat as much for reasons. And we will leave it at that. But there's just a whole lot of different things I look at. But the number one factor is ticket sales. And the month before the event, the ticket sales are about where it's going to be. And so I try to base my food trucks off that. We have predictions on what the ticket sales will be, and that they're very much spot on. So I try to plan, because I know y'all need more than a month notice to do a huge festival like that. And that's always my goal. So I'm already starting to plan my May 2025. I'm not looking at October 2025, but my May festivals, because I know I'm at a minimum going to need a certain amount of food trucks based on previous year's festivals. So what my goal would be is to go ahead and book the ones that I know I need, and then as ticket sales change, then start bringing in my second wave of food trucks.
So do you kind of research the bands and stuff to kind of figure out what they would want the people will want to eat? Yes,
and I actually researched what the bands would want to eat, because that's a really good starting place of, okay, well, if the band likes this type of food, then, their followers are going to like the same kind of food.
That's what we do. We research, every time we go, we research the band to see, if they're vegan, if they're this or that. So then what I need to base my menu off, or tweak it or change it a little bit, or add more vegan stuff or this or that, because I try to see if there's a vegan person in every band that plays, just to see where I need to go with the menu sometimes.
Well, like your country music, and
yeah.
Y'all don't do a ton of country music. We did Oliver Anthony this year, and because bluegrass is totally different crowd than your country music, and your EDM's totally different crowd from that, and so yeah, I always look at that to kind of tweak my menu too.
Yeah, so those, there are certain things that I always have to have. I always have to have a vegan option. I always have to have a healthy option, no matter what. It doesn't matter what the music is. And just to be quite honest, you are always my healthy option, Jonanne.
Yay!
Because I just know that your food is always going to be super fresh. You lean more towards healthy. Your menu is what people who are focused on health foods, that's what they go towards. That's what's going to sell. And they're going to be happy. And I'm not going to get bad reviews on, hey, you didn't have a healthy option. I'm like, yes, I did.
Well, and my kind of going into the Caverns events is, I know I'm probably not going to be the top seller there. And that's not my goal, to be the top seller, because my menu is different. But I have so many of the people who come to the concerts are so grateful. I'm there because I can do alpha-gal allergy. I can do gluten-free, I can do vegan, and I can handle those issues. And there, I don't have seed oil on my truck. That was so important to somebody one time. Do you have seed oil?
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That's the way it was with us with soy this weekend.
Yeah.
The guy was like, I would not eat if y'all weren't here. He said, because I can't have anything soy. So we went to our labels and let him see our labels to see what he could have, and the veggies he was good with, but the cooking spray, the beef couldn't have the cooking spray on it because it had soy, so he could have straight beef, or he was like, I would not have had dinner if it wasn't for y'all, because I can't have soy. He said it's something that started in the last year or so. Like, this is something new to him. So I'm still figuring it out, but he's like, I know I can't have soy.
There's a lot more like eating preferences out there now than there used to be. Some of it's medically necessary, some of it's just for health reasons or whatever. But I always cook my chicken first so that my chicken's not cooked where mammal meat's been cooked, because then you're alpha gal people. And every single event, I'll have at least one person who has that situation to where, like, thank you,
Right.
Yeah.
because I couldn't have eaten, like you said, So, so I know, I don't have the barbecue and I don't have the hamburgers and all that like a lot of people want. So I know I'm not going to be your top seller. But my whole mission and goal for my truck anyway wasn't to be the top selling truck in the area. It was to meet a need that was out there for dietary restrictions.
And from a vendor standpoint, you have absolutely no idea how well you fit that need, because like I can have 10 barbecue food trucks. It doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. I still fail at my job if I don't hit all of the check boxes of what our patrons are looking for. And I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. It makes me feel good. And your stuff too. So
your stuff is very healthy as well. The wraps.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but yours is like, you got the turkey burgers. This is my favorite. Is that
I
turkey
dream
burger.
about those turkey burgers.
Me too. I told Jeremy the other day that turkey burger is my favorite turkey burger.
It's definitely
anywhere.
the staff favorite. Outside of staff, I don't sell a huge amount of them. So I came to one event, I didn't even put the turkey burgers on the menu, and I won't do that again. I will always have turkey burgers on the menu for the crew.
Oh yes, we love them.
So
They're all, we've asked her all these.
how do you determine fees? I mean, because you've got a minimum vending fee, then you've got a percent, but it's different for every event. But it looks to me like y'all have done a pretty good job of thinking, okay, well, this ain't going to be a huge event, so we know sales aren't going to be huge, so we're not going to charge them this huge minimum vending fee. So it looks like y'all really thought out the fee process.
Yes, and whenever I first started, there really wasn't a fee process. So, I mean, everything that I did. Like, I created it, I started it, the website, the application, like, I put all of that together. Like, this is what I want. Like, after all the research that I've done, doing events, this is how I like it organized. And the fee structure was very much that same process, because in the beginning, I just took, what everybody else was doing, 15%, and did not do deposits, didn't, change it up based on how big of an event it was. And overall, it kind of worked, but there were a lot of times either I would get burned as a vendor manager or the food truck would get burned because we just didn't have a lot of people show up. So I tweaked it a whole lot, as you well know. It's completely changed to what it is now, but it was really to just benefit everybody.
And I think the way it was before was, since we've been doing it, it's been the way you changed it, because I don't think we worked with you guys on the way
So
y'all
I've
did
been
it
there
before.
from the beginning. I've been
Yeah.
there from like the first amphitheater shows, when Leah was doing it before
Yeah,
you.
that's right.
And it was just the percent.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate how you tell us, like, how many food trucks are going to be there, stuff like that, because we don't always get that.
Oh yeah, I could not imagine not being super transparent and upfront with you guys, because like my job there is to represent you guys. Like that's, and obviously the Caverns, because I work for the Caverns, but I'm the only person that is advocating for you guys at the Caverns to make sure that you get taken care of. And like I always say to everybody, look at my sweet little baby food trucks. Like y'all are like my children, and I want to make sure that y'all are taken care of. Because it's a hard business. I mean, what y'all do is so hard, and it's hit or miss every single day. Like, y'all are out there grinding. So whenever you come to the Caverns, I 100% want to make sure you're taken care of.
And we appreciate that, because like some not necessarily they don't appreciate it, but it's like they don't understand what we put into it to make it work, or like our cost to do everything. And
They being other event coordinators.
yeah,
I mean, there's one particular event that we've both done, and she's like, oh, it's our biggest event all year, and and we'll go, and it's their biggest event all year. She's right, but there's 50 people there.
Still not enough for two food
And
trucks.
you got
Two three food trucks.
yeah, and
And then it goes back to like, not necessarily that they don't care. It's just like I don't think they understand like what we really put into it to make it work. Like that's a lot of food costs. If you prepare to cook for you only being the food truck, and you get there and there's 3 other food trucks, some of them selling the same things you are, like that would determine like I wouldn't have buy as much. Like our menus are similar, but they're different. But like I had an event where the other food truck was almost exactly my menu, and then I was only supposed to be the only food truck there. So it's like we really do appreciate that because like that hurts us more than they realize. It's just
it costs a certain amount of money just to show up, several $100s.
Yeah, because y'all have to buy food. I mean, I have no idea what goes into it.
And we got to run the generator, and we got to, especially for Caverns events, we have to pay help. We have to pay staff. And, we can't say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to need you. We didn't, we don't know. So we bring our extra staff. And, but everybody's not as understanding, and I don't think it's them not wanting to be. I think it's just they don't understand.
They're wanting their events to do good. And we do too, but they don't understand, like, it's not just about that event doing, because if they bring vendors in and we don't do good, then the next year they're not going to have vendors because the vendors didn't do great, so then they're not going to come back, so then it's going to put them in a position where they're not doing good either. So
right.
It kind of hurts them in the long run too. It
seems like they do events maybe once or twice a year, 3 times a year.
I've doing them every weekend.
I've done 158 this year, and I've been doing this for 3 years. So it's hard to compare, but I would love to put together. I have my own checklist of like everything, and it's in my head now. But in the beginning, that was something I didn't think about. Is okay. Well, I don't want to have 2 wrap food trucks literally right beside each other. And I made that mistake one time, and then they immediately said something like, hey, like they have the exact same food. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like, yes, that makes so much sense. Thank you for letting me know. So that was a big lesson that I learned from the beginning. And I would just write down everything that y'all would give me on feedback and be like, okay, this is their perspective. Like, this is what they need, and I'm going to make sure that they get it. Now that I know, like, I have all this knowledge that they've shared with me on what to do and what not to do.
So let's talk about how hard it is to work in a food truck that's not level.
Yes, please, let's talk about that.
I know, I was opening up my truck the other day and everything's sliding out. And I was like, I got it. And then something goes, boom. And the customer was like, are you okay? He's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, just my sauces are everywhere.
If I could run a backhoe, let me tell you.
With a grater to our little spot,
Yeah. What's bad is it's been grated.
Oh, well, I'm sure every time it rains, it needs grated again.
It does, yes.
And that tree.
Oh, yes. Oh, trust me. The both of them. We talked about the
Yeah,
tree this weekend, too. It's now lost its leaves, the little red or rare tree that we all love so much.
Magnolia. It's a something magnolia. I Googled it.
Yeah, you looked it up.
Yeah, I did.
People
Everybody kept asking me what kind it was.
This weekend. They were picking them up.
They're
and like,
massive.
Yeah.
They're like the size of my arm. They were huge.
People come to the concert and ask me, what kind of tree is that? I'm like, I don't know.
One that's in the way.
A spindly looking one.
But do y'all remember what the Cave Food Court area looked like before I got a hold of it?
Yes.
I mean, there were tons of trees, and it was grass, and like it was just nature. And I'm like, I want that. I'm stealing that piece of land.
Tables sort of now.
Yeah,
so,
it's slowly.
Places to eat.
And that comes in handy. Like, we always bring our chairs for people to sit in. They enjoy just sitting around talking while they're taking a break from the music. But and the tables too, they really like that, just to have something to stand up and eat at.
Yes, the tables are an awesome thing that we have added. And we were going to put them in like the food truck area where y'all park. And I'm like, I cannot lift those things. Like, that's not going to work. Because I would have to move them every time.
You have and where they're going to be, there'd be a lot of moving them. Yeah. I think they're good.
So they found their home now, and I think they're in a really good spot.
Yeah.
And putting the one between us the other day worked really good too.
Oh, yes.
I wouldn't be able to move that thing, but it did.
Well, when you flip them over and roll them, like those wire spools, those huge, they weigh a ton, but they're easy to move. I mean, I watch people move them. I don't, but they look easy to move when other people do it.
We'll just go with they're easy to move.
What else can you think of, Tammy?
I don't know. Is there anything else you could think of
Yeah.
that would help others?
What advice would you give to food
Yeah.
trucks who are going to go do these large events? And I'll say something else that's improved over the years is our gray water and fresh water.
Well,
fixing that up for us.
I'm going to be completely honest. That's because I got a camper and I started to understand what have they, like, it just hit me one day. I'm like, what are my food trucks doing with their whole gray water situation and water situation? And that first year, I have no idea what y'all were doing. I mean, just suffering, I guess. But then after that, I'm like, okay, we're going to get this whole situation figured out because, like, I need you to be a functioning kitchen. Like, the amount of people that we serve, that's a huge thing that you need. And we had the resources to make it happen, and now we can offer that. But I'll tell you one thing.
That's a lifesaver, though.
It is. But I'll tell you one thing we will never do again, and that is get a refrigerator truck.
That truck was so nasty
Oh.
after, was it K-Fest last year?
Do you know how long it took me to clean that thing out?
Oh, it was
Longer
gross.
than I wanted to.
It had chicken goo.
Yes.
All in it. That was disgusting.
Well, and I tried to like divide all the spaces up by putting tape down. That tape froze. I had to scrape it all up. Oh, it was hours. We'll never, but that's not really why we're not doing that again. I don't mind that part. It was just it didn't seem to help y'all as much as I thought it would.
It was too far away.
Yes.
It was. I mean, if it had been right up there,
Yeah.
like where the porta potties are or something, it'd have been a whole lot more useful. I used it because it was there, but I mean, I've done fine without it
Yes.
too.
Yeah, and the amount of space that you had, I just don't think that was worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to fit 19 food trucks in there in a 5x11
Yeah.
refrigerator truck. I was crazy for thinking that would work.
I mean, I think if I didn't live so close and if I was like camping there and didn't have somewhere to go to restock, it'd be more useful.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we come home. I can just come home and restock. So
Yeah, it makes it easier. So I have one more question about so we were talking about the fees. Well, not the fees, but can you explain to people that would help other coordinators how you base it on how many food trucks you have per people and stuff like that. So that would help other people that do what you do.
like, do you have a formula? Like,
Yeah.
you decide if you've got this many people coming to the concert, so many of them are going to eat, so this is how many food trucks I need.
Yeah, so
Oh,
other people
how many
would
food
know,
trucks I need.
So other
Okay.
people would know, okay, we're going to have this small event. We have 100 people. How many food trucks really do we need?
Yeah, there's really not a science to that one yet, but I cannot even begin to tell you how much data I'm collecting on that so that I can extrapolate some type of formula out of my data. Right now I go with my heart and sometimes my heart is wrong. But I look at things like ticket sales, of course, and I have a set, I don't want to call them standards, but expectations from my bosses at the Caverns of, okay, if we've sold this many tickets, you have to have this many food trucks. It doesn't matter if they eat or not. The artists want to see this many food trucks lined up. It's just become a thing. Some artists don't care. That's not every situation, but it's just little details like that are way above anything I'm doing.
So how much input do the artists have in the food trucks?
Very rarely, very little at all, if none. I mean, I have had on occasion, LS Streams, this, they specifically requested you,
I didn't know
from
that.
from previous times that you've been there. I don't know, an artist ate your food and loved it, like we all do. So, it's just little things like that. Or they will want a specific type of food, and I'll just try to make sure I get it. I think what Travis Tritt's show, or one of them, before that it was a country show, the Tennessee Craft Butcher food truck catered their food, and then it just kind of spread and they heard about it, and then the next artist, I can't remember who it was, specifically requested them to be there. So it's very rare that it happens. But I will look at the artists and see what type of food do they eat. I'm always Googling what's so-and-so's favorite food, and I may or may not get any results.
Do you also look at the sales or the event from the last year to see who was there and kind of like how they did and like that worked for that.
Yes, that is my biggest thing, especially whenever we have like a repeat show, like this past weekend, the Disco Biscuits. Like, I have 3 years worth of data to look at them. They definitely did not do the same this year as they have in previous years, but that's a really big thing that I look at is, you know, what were our beer sales, because we keep track of that. And then what were our food sales if I was doing the food. But we have like beer sales from
And you said
10
there was
years
a big
back.
difference.
It was
last
huge.
Year to this year.
Was there a difference in the beer sales too?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not even a little bit.
Okay.
But
there
It's
wasn't
just the food.
But did the show start later this time than it did last year?
I didn't really look at that,
Okay.
so I don't
So I feel like the shows are starting a little bit later
The-
on the Friday and Saturday night shows than they used to.
start at like doors or the
Doors
show.
are open and it's like 7
Yeah, so
instead of 5 or 6 like they used to, and I think that's made
yeah.
a difference in the food sales.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I would like to go back and look at that myself.
To see if that affected.
Yeah.
Does it ever worry
Because-
you that like if food trucks come, like, you know, you looked at the sales from last year, so you thought they were going to be really good, and this year was different. But does that ever worry you that it's going to get harder on the food trucks for them to come because they're not making it? Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
Like, say, like if
Sales
the
are
same,
way below
yeah.
expectations.
So like
Oh,
if they
yeah.
were there last year and they made this thing and then they came this year and it wasn't for them,
Yeah.
does that worry you? Like then, like, you know, if the food trucks start losing money,
Oh, absolutely.
like,
Like that's my biggest fear is I don't ever want y'all to lose money. Ever.
I mean, you know, and then like not like we know like there's gonna be days we're not gonna make money and we'll break even or we'll do a little or not or whatever.
Mhm.
Sometimes to me it's just about meeting the new people, but like if people are losing money, then it may be harder for them to come because, you know,
Yeah.
at
No.
the end of the day we love what we're doing, but also, you know,
Oh yeah. No. I want you to make money.
it's
I
like-
definitely want y'all to
it's
make
kind of
money.
like scary for everybody, you know.
Well, yeah, and it's this past weekend. I mean, this was a good example of the question that you're asking, is because the ticket sales hit right on that cusp of I have to have 2 food trucks, like it to the person hit. I gotta have 2 food trucks come in, and then looking at previous years when I only have 1 food truck, I'm like, oh, we killed it. We'll be fine. Like, this is great. And then it rained. You know, weather is always a huge
and you
factor.
Can't predict that.
No.
I mean,
We
you
were
get a
not
little
expecting
bit.
that rain.
No, I wasn't expecting it either. I mean, I had a lot of stuff going on that day that I did not get to do and had to do it the next day.
Because we were just looking at the weather for this weekend, you know, a while ago, and it's not gonna be quite cool. The next weekend for LS Dreams is gonna be cold, but this weekend it's still gonna be pretty mild.
Yeah.
But there's a chance of rain. But I don't know, rain hasn't really hurt me there so much. It's just, I guess what I've seen sales go down is just with a later gate opening, because it's so like people are eating before they come, and that makes sense.
Right.
I know we were talking about a formula. I know in the food truck industry, there's a formula, like you take the number of ticket sales or the number of expected attendees, and you take a third of that. A third of them are going to eat. And then you divide that third by the number of food trucks to see how many people, you know, and you don't want it to be less than what, 150 per food truck or 100 per food truck, you know, you don't want it to get less than that. And so when I'm going to events, I always, you know, like arts and crafts festivals or something, or a concert, I'll ask them, how many people are you expecting? And they say, oh, we're expecting 2,000 people. I'm saying, well, let's say 1,000 to make the math in my head easier. We're expecting 1,000 people. Okay, 300 of them are going to eat. How many food trucks you got? Oh, we got 5 food trucks. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll pass.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I couldn't imagine having 5
Yeah,
food trucks. That would
because
be
they
like
want that variety, and they see 2,000 people, you know, but only a third of them are going to eat generally.
yeah. I mean, that would be like having for a sold out cave show. That's 1,200 people. That'd be like having 5 food trucks for a cave show.
Yeah. So if you got 1,200 people, a third's 400. So, you know, 2 to 3 food trucks is, you know, you're right at it.
Well, and logistically, spatially, geographically,
more than
thankfully for y'all, I can only get 3 in there.
No, but I think you're like, our weekend festivals are different because everybody's going to eat.
Yes.
I mean, most people are going to eat. Some of them will cook back at their campsites or at their Airbnb where they're staying, but they'll eat at least 2 or 3 meals, like K-Fest on those 3-day
Oh, yeah.
festivals where they're there all day.
Well, the
can't
festival
use
that
that
you and
festival.
Jeremy just did, the little festival, what
the
Bluegrass, yes.
Big Mouth.
That,
I mean,
that was
yeah,
a
Big
very
Mouth.
good festival, and it was like,
Just y'all.
yeah,
And
it
just 150 people or 200
Yeah,
or something. I don't remember the numbers, but
it was really good, like, too, because, like, they're there all day long.
Yes.
We were the only food truck, so, but then, I added different things to my menu, so they're like, can have something different, and, like, one day I wasn't there, and they were selling out, and so I was bringing them more food, because that was a really good number for one food truck, and it was just like, it was a festival, and like you said, they ate all day long, because they were there. If they didn't eat breakfast, like, early, they ate later, or they were eating right before we closed.
every person ate three
yeah.
times a day.
Yeah, Jeremy said we fed every bit of those
Yes.
200 people.
And that is like something I could not prepare you for because I was just astonished. And I've done 30 festivals.
Well, I prepared him for it. I was like, because look, they're there all day long.
Yeah.
They're going to get hungry. They're going to eat. At some point, you're going to probably feed everybody, because I was there with him. It was 2 or 3 nights. I was only
2 nights.
Yeah, and I came at the end of one of the nights, and I was there the whole entire next night. But like, yeah, I told him, I was like, they will eat at some point, because they're there all day long. So no matter if it's 150 or 200 people, they're gonna eat, because they're gonna get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it's just so fascinating to look at because I put everything on a spreadsheet, and like when I see that on a spreadsheet, I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. Sorry guys, I didn't give you any warning it was gonna be like this.
Those are the good surprises.
Yeah, I know you're not complaining.
No.
yeah, no, it was good for me, and it was just like, I wasn't as surprised as him.
Yes.
Because like I've been doing food my whole entire life, so I know like this is how people eat. This is what they're gonna eat, and he was like, okay, I got it. So I mean,
it was triple though. Like
I'm glad
it
he
was
had plenty of help with him.
Yeah, it was a good one.
They do pretty good about getting out fast too, so I couldn't ask for better than that.
Yeah, speed is huge. I mean, that's another thing that I look at on food trucks. Like if you aren't fast, I'm sorry, but I can't do it, because one of the things where we're at, well, in both locations, really, the campground not so much, but in the amphitheater, but especially in the cave food court, like people can't experience the music if they're standing in line waiting on a food truck. And that's another reason why I have to have the amount of food trucks that I have to have given the ticket sales, because everybody is going to eat at the same time before the show. And the artist is going to get mad if we have people waiting in line to get their food from the food truck and they're not enjoying the show that they paid for. Wow. And, depending on how hungry people are, I'm the hungry hippo person that will be staying in line and miss the show because I want my food.
Well, that's the good thing about the amphitheater, because you can still see the show. But yeah, the cave, because they'll come out, like if you have 2 different bands playing, they'll have that set change, and that's when everybody comes out and wants to eat. But they're all like, I gotta get back, so start back.
I know, and I'm always on them like, gotta get it out, make sure it's good, make sure it's right, but do fast. And like, then I panic and scare myself, because like, okay, now we don't have a line, and there's a line somewhere else. I'm like, do we just not have a crowd, or do we get them out? And
you'll
like,
get a food
Jeremy's
truck.
like, I think you really just got them out.
You get a food truck with a slower ticket time, and they look like they've got way more business. But I think just as many people. It's just
he said
we wanted to get them out.
Tell me all the time, you're fine. He's like, we just got it out really fast, and I'm like.
Well, I schooled you on that when you were helping me.
She drilled it in me all the time. Speed.
Joe does not like long lines.
Yeah, you have witnessed. You have been a part of.
Yeah,
because trust me,
Joe
there's
will tell us too,
multiple people texting me saying, "Hey, this line's a bit long," and I'm like, "What do you want me to do? Go in there and help them cook?" Like, I've been watching these people. People just keep getting back in line, but there have been situations where I'm like, "Yeah, I know they a little slow."
Yeah.
But PBS, I mean, that bless your heart, man. That was
first
probably the
PBS
first time I wanted to be like, get in your kitchen and help you cook.
I was the only food truck.
Yes.
And
it was a very heavy PBS.
Yeah, they all ate.
Yes, everybody always eats.
We were doing the best we could. We were slinging food.
Yeah. But with PBS, they shut the cave door because they're filming and you can't come in. So everybody has to be in their seats and quiet so that they can film. And if you're standing in line for food,
And you got
can't
30
do that.
people. You got 30 people in line. You can
Yeah.
only do so much.
Exactly.
You can only get 3 or 4 people in that food truck.
Yeah.
You know, so you can only get food out so fast.
Like helping you with the PBS, prepare me for like the Netflix one because. Like,
Oh yeah, same
told-
situation.
I told Jeremy, I was like, they have to get in there. We have to be like,
Yeah.
go, go, go.
I
Like,
mean,
there's
our
no
events
stopping.
aren't like anything else. Like, this isn't like a craft fair where your people
walk
eat
up,
whenever they
yeah.
want. No, we're on a very scheduled time. Like, we have to follow the schedule to a T, and it's stressful for you guys. I know it is because it's stressful for me, and I'm not doing anything. So I don't.
You do a lot.
I can't.
I'm
Well,
amazed
at that
by
moment in
what
time,
you do all the time. Like, do what?
at that moment in time, I'm not the one cooking or, handing food out.
Yeah, but you're the one getting the texts and the phone calls.
Yeah.
Yes, I
I
am.
told her the other day, I don't know how you do it and keep it all. But I guess with her, like that's what she knows, so it's easy for you to keep up with. Like with us, it's what we do, so it's like easy for us to keep up with, like where we're at. And
Well, I
what
think
we're
so.
doing.
It's worked so well. At least with our experience with the Caverns, it's worked really well because you're good at what you do.
Thanks.
We're getting good at what we do.
Y'all are very
And
good at
it
what you
works.
do.
We work well together. It
Yeah,
just works.
and we've learned together. But what y'all do is something that you've created, and what I do is something that I've created. I am so very passionate about what I do. Y'all are so very passionate about what you do. So it's a lot of hard work. But at the end of the day, we really love what we do, and if we didn't love it, we probably wouldn't be doing it.
Well, I think we let you do what you do, and you let us do what we
Yes.
do. We're not
Yes.
trying to tell you how to do your job, and you're not telling us how to run our food truck. And I think that's why it works out so well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
but there
us
have
up
been
there.
times where y'all have, and it was so very much helpful and beneficial. And I can't even please don't ever stop doing that, because you see things from a completely different perspective. And I just always want y'all to know that I am there for y'all to make you as successful as possible.
Well, and it goes
That's
both ways though, because you can tell us when we need to do something differently too.
Oh, I
to
do.
make it-
Don't worry.
Yeah, but I think that's why again,
'Cause somebody else
we do
will.
that. It works well because of that. Because we do that.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
then-
and so when we all met with you guys about the other food truck thing,
Oh yes.
like it was like you were taking in like a lot of information from us, and you were like really, like, accepting of that, saying, I didn't know that, or I didn't,
Yes.
because like I know we were throwing everything at you that
Yeah.
night, like this,
Oh, but it
and
was such a
everybody.
good
There was
experience.
30 people in there and throwing all this stuff, and she's like, oh, I didn't know that, or I'll keep that in mind, or well, this is the way we do this, and it's just like I think it helped us all.
Yes.
Like you, us, like.
Because I only do Caverns events,
Yeah.
and they're very specific. They're always the same, with always being different, but the structure is the same. And what we were trying to do with that is something totally different, like not even the same animal. So yeah, you have to look at it from a different perspective.
Anything else?
I think that's been really good. I think it's been good for us and you, and hopefully our listeners, all 6 of them. So
We'll get there.
no, I appreciate you being here tonight,
Me
and
too.
we look forward to seeing you this weekend. And
Every weekend.
yeah, for a while, yeah, I think I'll catch you the rest of the month. Now, I'm going to the Food Truck Expo next week
Oh,
in
that's
Orlando, but I'm leaving early Saturday morning. So I'm getting home from the Caverns, get the trailer put away, and then I think we're just gonna go sit at IHOP and drink coffee because we're supposed to be at the airport at like 6.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun after we get a nap.
Yes.
So we can get all pulled out of there really quick.
Yeah, so the goal is I'm closing on time.
Well, that's one of the
goal is to
good
get out of
things
there.
about y'all and each other,
Yeah.
because I don't have to tell you how to set up.
Yeah.
You know who's going to be there, and you
Yeah.
can coordinate amongst yourselves on who's going to go where and what works best for you.
Oh yeah, we already talked about it earlier.
That
Yes.
was-
Oh, I know
that's
you
in
have.
right now.
What are we? Who's gonna do what on the menu so we can do this, and what drinks we're gonna do or not do, and where we're gonna park so it makes it easier. And
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that, especially when you coordinate your menus. That's
Yeah.
that's real fun.
like, she does a bulgogi bowl, and I do the Korean barbecue wrap. So it's inspired by her. I do it different, but I'm not gonna do it this weekend because it's gonna be
And we're
like
both not
hers.
going to do hot chocolate or coffee. Like one of us do coffee, one of us do hot chocolate or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
You know.
Those little ancillary things come in so handy, especially as the weather starts to change.
We did one show. Do you remember? Was it last year or year before last? I think it was last year, 23. Maybe it was in April. We did a show,
Yes.
and it was so stinking cold. I think I sold 800 cups of coffee that
Wow.
night.
Yes, I remember because
don't
I
think it's
text you
literally
like
800, but
a couple of days before. I'm like, do you have a coffee maker?
I
Can you
had
please make coffee?
8-cup percolator, and I was selling coffee 3 pots ahead. Like, and people, I was like, it's gonna be a bit. They're like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, people will wait on coffee.
I was like, wow, yeah. Those sales
It
made
is
my
a
night.
good one. Coffee. And it keeps them awake. And
Well, I think sometimes after the drinks and all at the coffee's good before they
That's
head
right.
home,
They
so-
walk to the campground.
or drive home.
Or
so
that.
It's good, yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for tonight. Unless y'all have anything else you want to add.
I'm good.
No, I really appreciate y'all asking me to be on here. I could talk about this stuff forever. I just love it.
Well, it's
Well,
fun
next
to
week's
do
gonna be
again.
with the campers. So
Yeah.
Oh well, I have a
Campers
camper.
and festivals.
I have a camper, and I have a camper rental business.
Wow.
See,
So we
there you
know
go.
who to talk to. All right. Thank you, Amanda. See you, Tammy.
Bye.
Goodbye.